affect me in a way where like I need to actually practice a level of vulnerability in this too, and let myself reflect on it as well. Because I think that's the power of asking each other questions. Is I might be asking you a question to understand, helps me understand something about myself.
Welcome to Sacred and Strange.
All right, welcome to Sacred and Strange. This is the wrap-up episode for our first season, and we thought it would be fun to bring our team at the porch. This is our leadership team on to interview us. I've interviewed Levi and Rachel before. Still working on getting Jen on there, but Jen's going to be on the show at some point soon. And we thought it'd be fun to ask them to come up with a couple of questions to actually ask us. If you don't know, this is my wife, Erinn. So this is going to be a little bit different. This is not something that we're used to, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. And I think you guys, well, I know you guys have hopefully some banger questions, and I don't have to think too hard or make any of you leave the porch. So with that,
it's on the table. Hang on. The pressure level just went up so high.
Yeah. This is just going to be you guys rapid firing questions at us, and we've got to get answers. So
I think we are used to this. Like, when are we not asking each other deep questions? I feel like this is pretty normal.
Honestly, this came very naturally for me.
Yeah. I wrote these questions this morning as I was on my drive to work using a voice message. So, okay. So, speaking of questions, we all love your questions. I know I do. And I think that's seen in all the episodes that you've done so far, how you specifically, Jay, you get at the heart of things, and it's like curiosity, but it's also like, it's the digging deeper that reveals. And I know I have been blessed by Jay's questions as a part of his leadership team. And he just ended a sermon he recently preached with 3 questions. And so it's just like, I know it's a part of you. Jay, tell us about the beginning of your journey with asking good questions. Where did that start? How did it develop?
Yeah, I think I was definitely the kid growing up that was like the why kid. I have very vivid memories of being like 8 or 9 years old, and my dad being like, please just stop asking questions. So I was always like the why kid. Like, I always wanted to know, because I always felt, even at a young age, like I always felt the more information I had, like the more successful I would be. So questions just always came natural to me, or at the very least the drive to want to know the why behind things always came natural. And then when I got older, especially in college, when I finally switched over to social work, I took I had to take 3 semesters of counseling classes, and I had the same professor for all 3. And she would always start off with these 2 things, like these 2, what I would say probably her core values, which were always ask why and don't be afraid of silence. You know, and the always ask why of the keep digging into the layers until essentially whoever you're asking
until they crack.
You feel like you've actually got the gold out, like you've got the heart of what's going on inside of someone is really coming out. Because we always start surface level on the surface layer with everything, no matter what. And that question why, or that the asking of questions and learning how to formulate questions, I think it just provides the opportunity to really get into that level. And sometimes you just kind of have to be okay with silence and not having the answer either. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just started to develop that later on, and then, had lots of mentors as I kept going and getting into ministry, and got to sit underneath a guy for about 2 years named Jim Bailey, who was like the Rembrandt of asking questions.
Mm.
And just started to really hear that. I mean, my dad's actually really good at asking questions too. So growing up with him, and I just always wanted to get to know the why behind people. Yeah, it was just something I've always had a value for.
And it's
Can
interesting.
I ask a spontaneous follow-up?
Yeah, ask a follow-up.
Can you like distill 2 or 3 principles for how to formulate good questions?
Yeah. Let me think on that. I think, well, I can tell you the things I'm always asking myself while I'm like coming up with the question is, do I already know the answer? Because if I already know the answer, then I don't actually want to ask that question.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's a personal pet peeve for me. Is if
'Cause
I have the answer and I'm asking it because I already know it, I would rather just say, "Hey, I think this. Can you clarify that with me?" So
Yeah.
just agreement.
It can happen really easily too, where I think I'm pretty discerning, so I can always think that I have the answer. So I kind of use that constantly as a check. If I feel enough where I think I know this answer, I'm not going to question it because, or I'm not going to ask, I should say, because I don't want to step into somewhere where I feel like my questions are manipulative and I feel like I'm leading you, or I feel like I'm trying to get you to say what I want you to say. I just genuinely want to know. I genuinely want to know what you're thinking or what's going on for you, or whatever that layer is I'm trying to dig into. I want to know what it is. So I don't want to ask something that I already know, because that's not fun for either of us. And I think the second thing I would say is learn to listen for the question that's actually in what people are saying. A lot of times people will be in the process of either answering something you already asked or just kind of telling you a bit about themselves. And I've found there's always a question in their statement, if that makes sense. Like there's always something in what they're telling you that there's something you can ask about there if you'll listen. Again, and you can't really listen if you're already formulating an answer, or already kind of trying to lead something a certain way. So learn to listen for what they're actually saying. Learn to listen for the questions in their layering. And I like to just give permission, or people permission, to actually just answer. Let them actually answer the question genuinely with where they're at. And I try to always create common ground in that and help them feel like I'm in that process with them and not kind of on the outside looking in all the time.
Yeah.
I suddenly have so much more insight into how you've asked me a lot of questions. Like, oh, this is how he's doing it. All right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the cool thing that I think Erin's gotten a interesting perspective of, I'm sure, over the years, of like, and I know, because she's like, I wish you could be a fly on the room in this conversation. She's like, I'm learning so much. And like, so Erin, like, what's that been like for you to like, or how have his questions impacted you personally? And then like, or even watching him ask questions, how has that impacted you?
Yeah, it's been very learning. Yeah, that's a good word. I think like around the time that we met was right about the same time that I was learning to ask questions myself. And I had never really felt like I had been given permission. I never really felt like I had given myself permission to ask questions. So I literally entered this season where I'm learning to ask questions and I'm questioning things about faith and about all these different things that, we were going through. And then I meet him and he's this like master question asker. Okay. We're always going deep. Let's go. Which I love. I absolutely love that. So whether it's a matter like it's us just talking about everyday life stuff and he's asking really good, pointed questions to get to the heart of like what it is that we're talking about. Whether it's, we're discussing pastoral things, whether we're discussing porch related things, there's always questions to be asked. And it's just kind of naturally become a part of me as well. There's always questions going in my head, whether it's for myself and my own process, whether it's for our kids, whether it's for anything else or anyone else that I may be talking to. My brain is always going as well and just thinking, I wonder if it's on this. I wonder if I ask this kind of question, like you don't want to like plant answers. People need to answer questions for themselves. Like you're not trying to get them to say a certain thing. You want them to answer it honestly and truthfully and authentically, right? But hey, if I ask some questions, I wonder if this would help them in their process and help them, whether it's help them grow, help them realize something. Just it's been and it's just so naturally part of our everyday life. It's just there's a whole lot of curiosity and a lot of questions, and we see that in our own kids too, because it's questions all day, every day.
What about this? What if there were this dinosaur over here?
Exactly, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think too, especially what I found like in marriage or like when we were getting ready to get married and the whole dating process, I've found like questions, even when I'm asking a question, it's a practice of vulnerability for me too, because I might not like the answer you give me, or I might what you say might actually dig up stuff in myself. So I think I've had to learn a lot of having a value for that, to actually allow whatever I'm asking to allow the answers to affect me.
Can you say that, a value for
allowing the answers that I might get to affect me one way or the other, to actually not affect me in the way like I spiral, but affect me in a way where like I need to actually practice a level of vulnerability in this too, and let myself reflect on it as well. Because I think that's the power of asking each other questions. Is I might be asking you a question to understand,
then it does something in you as well.
It helps me understand something about myself. So yeah.
It's good.
I guess we're all learning about each other right now.
That was a good question.
Thanks.
Who's next?
I'll wait. I have so many questions. That was one of the things Jay and I we connected over, is that the curiosity, the intense investigation. So yeah, it's cool hearing that piece, because it's a core value for me, and so I like knowing why and where it came from and how you honed it, because it's clearly honed. Like it's a beautiful thing, and I'm blessed by it. And I think this it's interesting that came up first. Like I wasn't intentional, but I was like, well, it's kind of like what he's doing on this podcast is a bunch of questions. And so
there's a really good book. I'm gonna look it up. I think Alan Hirsch wrote it.
I know the one you're talking about.
Hirsch, but it's about asking questions, and I had to read it in college for one of the Forgotten Ways, and it's really a church planning book, but he's got a whole bunch of it dedicated to just learning how to ask good questions. And yeah, I highly recommend it. I had to read it again. I had to read it for a seminary class that I had to take my senior year of college, and it was really good, really impactful.
I'm literally adding it to my Amazon list right now.
Truth cards.
Well, I'll go for another question, because it's kind of connected. So like we're talking about questions. Obviously, it's a core value for me. It's cool to hear that, but it's like something that I've grown in because of you. And so that's kind of like the foundation of this question, but it's more for like you guys, for each other. What's the thing that like, Jay, you see in Erinn, that very specifically that you also see in your kids, that you see that she's like, like passed down, that you love? And like, you can't say the questioning, Erinn, but what's the thing that you love about Jay that like your kids are walking in? You're like, I love that they have that from him, even though they're young. what's that thing that you can see the impact of already generationally?
Man, I would say it's layered, but I think I see it every day with Judah and Pax, our two older ones right now, they're very free spirited, which is very much Erinn. They are they wear their hearts on their sleeves, which was not me as a kid, and they are worshipers. They are unashamed about their love for Jesus. And Pax would do this thing where, like, if a song comes on, we always have music playing basically all day long, and if a song comes on that like affects him like deep level, he'll like act things out in the room. Like if there's like a song from Lord of the Rings crescendos and it's like the big battle song and everything, he'll like be in the living room and have like a pretend sword in his hand and he'll be like walking around and stuff.
He feels it.
And I'm like, I felt music a lot, but I was not expressive like that as a kid, at least not from what I remember. And that free spirit stuff is definitely Erinn, and I love that in our kids because they did not get that from me.
What, Jay? You're not a free spirit?
I'm free.
Free falling.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say the thing that I see every single day in our kids is their curiosity and their desire to learn. And they may not see that as something that's always fun or whatever, like when it's school related and stuff. But I mean, something as simple like today, like they were so excited because I think Aunt Jen got them a soap making kit and like dinosaur soap making kit. Turn it into science. Like they did a science lesson with Daddy and it was great. And they always are so inquisitive. And I'm cheating. Yes, they ask a lot of questions.
My role.
It's the desire to learn. It's the desire to grow. Like I see Judah and how much he loves to read, and he just will stick his nose in a book. And once he gets into it, he is locked in. Like there's no getting him out of it. And it's just that curious nature and that desire to want to know more, to learn more. Pax is still learning to read, but he's picking up on words. And even if it's just a simple animal book or whatever, like they'll just be like, start spouting off all of these facts and just start telling us all these things, all these random information that they learn. And I'm like, what? No way. Because it's exciting because they're telling you what they learned and they're excited about it. And then I think also their love for nature and being outdoors and adventure. I think they get that a little bit from both of us, but you have like definitely this core thing of like, I want to be outside. And if he's outside, most of the time the boys are outside with him. So if he's going outside to do yard work or if he's going outside to take care of stuff, he takes the boys with him so that they are learning alongside of him, and he's instilling in them, teaching them something, whatever it is that he's working on, they're doing it with him, or at least they're close by watching too. So, yeah.
And then going and spraying each other with water and then,
of course.
And then coming back and then running in circles.
Of course.
I think Judah also definitely got my love for dad jokes because that kid lets him fly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He memorizes the dad joke books.
I've actually been noticing, I noticed this on Sunday at the party. I've been noticing more of like Jay's ability to like stir the pot in Judah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just haven't seen that a lot recently, but like
Troll.
Yeah.
This past weekend I saw
Troll
it so
nature.
much.
There it is. That's a strong one. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely, we were highlighting positives, but he definitely got
What is your thing for justice? Like you've talked about that as you getting that from your mom. Like she has a strong bent towards justice. You have a strong bent towards you, Erinn, you too, but specifically Jay. Do your kids have that? Do they like
Pax?
Yeah.
1,000%.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that. What like?
Yeah, it's a little scary sometimes. He will we're definitely having to navigate him into what real justice looks like as opposed to just having a full-on vendetta, because he will harbor an injustice done, and it doesn't have to be done against him. If he just sees it done, he like holds that thing
and does not forget
and
it.
he doesn't forget it. And if he sees them again, he has no issues with marching right up to them and saying what it is. So like, for example, when they had football in the fall, we were all at one of Judah's games. Paxette had a game early in the day. I took him to that one, and then we met up later on at Judah's game, and there were these two older boys that were there, and Pax was running around with his little buddy, and these two older boys did something. They said something not nice. I don't know. It wasn't anything like crazy.
Wasn't vendetta worthy.
Well, I don't know. Pax was. So he full on like, he came right up to me, marched up to me. I'll never forget it because he had taken his cleats off. He was walking around barefoot because I hate shoes, and marched right up to me and was like, "Daddy, these two older boys did something wrong to me." And I was like, "Okay, and what happened?" And he was like, "They said this, and then they pushed us and they told us that something." I was like, "Okay, well, did you say something?" He's like, "Yeah, but now I'm gonna go find them." I was like, "And what are you gonna do about it?" He's like, "I'm gonna find them. I'm gonna really tell them like what they did was not okay." I was like, "Okay, well, if you already did that, you don't need to do it again." He's like, No, it's happening." And he just full on left and went on a hunt for them, and he didn't find them again. But then 2 weeks later, Judah had another game at a different field, and those two boys were there. And he found them and he cornered them. I mean, these were like 12, 13-year-old kids, and this is a 5-year-old. And he cornered them and he spat out the whole like list of what they had done. And it was like, all right, I love the justice thing here, but also we need to learn how to temper that, I think, with forgiveness and like, what does justice look like for Jesus? But he definitely got that, and I definitely was having flashbacks of being a kid on like the playground and doing the exact same thing.
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that is a Patty Urena quality. So,
do you find like it's hard to parent the thing that you do? You find that that's hard to parent, like, because it's a thing that you love, right? Like I love that in you because I'm thankful for it. I'm like, yes, take my phone and send a message to Amazon. You tell them I want my money back. So like, but like, do you find that hard to parent, or harder than other things?
Parenting's hard. I don't like. Yeah, I don't know. It
depends on what it is.
Yeah, and it's day to day, and I think, I mean, I'll let you share your thoughts. I think for me, it's just like, I always try to, and I don't always do a good job of it, but I always try to just parent the moment, not necessarily parent like in a way where I'm preemptively trying to stop you from doing something that may never happen. I'm going to parent in the moment. I'm going to keep pointing you to who Jesus is and who he's made you to be. I'm just going to keep pointing you to that. And it's hard. And it's especially hard when you're like, I know that's me. Like, what's coming out of you right now is me. And I somehow have to like almost parent myself in this moment too. And yeah, that's hard. I haven't cracked the code on that one personally, so I don't know what else to say on that. But
sometimes it's just really funny. Like the amount of times in a single week that one or both of us, either like something will happen and one or both of us has to like,
or just fully leave the room.
Just fully like leave the room or turn your head because you're like, you can't laugh at this because you really need to like listen in the moment. But there's so many times, we'll deal with it, we'll explain, have the conversation, everything is conversation, and then they'll turn around, go back to their room, go outside, go wherever they're going, and I'll look at him and I'll just be like, that was a little Jason. Or he'll be like, that was little Erinn.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I own that. 1,000%.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
No, 100%.
There was a meme I saw, like, probably when Judah was about 3. It was like right after we had PAX, and it just said, like 99% of parenting is just dealing with a tiny version of yourself.
Yep.
And it's absolutely true.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amusing for sure.
You know what's funny listening to you say that is like what you were saying about your response to parenting the moment, which I love. Like that's gonna stick with me. But like parenting in the moment, but you said something that I've heard a million times is like just pointing him back to Jesus, and it's back to discipleship,
Mhm.
like which is such a core thing for you. And I don't know if you've really gotten a chance to talk about that and your growth in that on this podcast yet, but it brings me back to moments where like you've intentionally been mentoring me, and when you're like, okay, well, what's Jesus saying right now about this thing, right? Like I've been pointed back to Jesus because of you. And so like it's cool to hear you say the same thing that you told me, but you're like doing it with your kids. It's just like it's cool to see the consistency. I love that.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing that does for me is it helps me go, like, take some pressure off myself and go, oh, I'm just a kid too sometimes.
1,000%.
Yep. Honestly.
I'll be.
You need to be pointed back to Jesus too.
Yeah. No, honestly.
Yep.
Seriously. I mean, I'll be 38 in May, and I wake up sometimes and I'm like, I've got a house, I've got a wife, I've got 3 kids. I'm only 19 years old. How did this happen? Like,
When did the adult?
when did I become an adult?
grow up?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's I don't know, the majority of life. I think. I mean, Erinn will do it for me too. I'll do it for her, of just the pointing back to Jesus. Just what is he saying? If he's our king, if he's our, our Lord, and he's our closest friend, and he's who we're trying to become like, I have no issue saying, I don't have the answers here. You need to go talk to Jesus. And we've said that to each other many times. Like, hey, sounds like what you're walking through is really hard. I don't have an answer for you. You need to go talk to Jesus.
Yeah.
So
we want to stay on the parenting topic, or do we have other topics?
This is machine gun it. Fire away.
Okay,
Jen's
I
got
have
a question.
something that sticks in the family range, kind of. So I'll throw it in here. So for those who don't know, my first question is, what is a PK?
It's a pastor's kid, also known as, not always, but usually, the most jaded person in the church.
Okay, so then my second question follow up to that is,
we just need pause for laughter.
no, there's a few. I'll rapid them out and you answer as you want to. What was
Okay.
it like to be a PK? Was it harder as a little kid or as a bigger kid? And did you think you'd end up married to a PK?
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Such good questions, Jay.
Well, we're both PKs, so do you want to go first?
That's what I'm asking.
What was it like? It was all right.
Is it
No,
hard because or is it easy because everybody loves you because you're the pastor's kid? Or is it hard because different expectations, or like,
I think we had slightly different,
we had different
experiences. When I was a little kid, it was great because everybody loved me and everybody was like, oh, you're just so cute and you're the pastor's kid. And I just was like happy-go-lucky, was at all of the things and got to stay up late at church services and whatever. And then I became a preteen and a teenager. And in that season of life, my family was kind of church hopping. We were kind of trying to find our church and where we belonged, So that was hard because that was right when I was also trying to figure out who I was and my identity. So I was kind of hopping youth groups and hopping, and I had all the different cliques that I was trying to fit in with. And I could be this person with this group and this person with that group, and figuring out pretty quickly that I didn't like that. And I just wanted to be me. And I didn't want to have to chameleon myself to fit in with anybody, which then made me an oddball because I didn't want a chameleon, but then also in that, in being a pastor's kid still, like there was, depending on where we were at the time, there was more pressure as a teenager because eyes are on you. And as a teenager, you're more opinionated and you're more outspoken than you were. Well, most of us were as like a little kid. And so, you know, just everything you do is kind of being watched under a microscope, and every action and every word and every, you know, so there was just constantly this pressure kind of thing. And did I think I was gonna marry a No, I don't think I did. I thought I was gonna. I think for a long time I thought I was gonna marry a hockey player. So there was that. And that didn't happen.
The Canadian dream.
The Canadian goal.
Get married in denim.
Yeah, exactly.
Denim winning.
Yeah, Canadian tuxedo. But yeah, it was just God, how it all came about, and that we each came with our own story and our history, and there's so many similarities, but yet so many differences at the same time, that we could lean on each other and in the strengths and the weaknesses, you know.
Yeah. I don't think I realized I was a PK until I was probably like 10. And
like the knowledge of it. What do you mean by that?
I don't think it actually hit me like, oh, this means something. Like this is, and I'll tell you exactly why, because I actually have the exact moment in my head still. I was probably like 9 or 10. Before that, when I was like a little kid, it was just life. Like my parents always had, church wasn't just Sundays. It was, people were in the house all throughout the week. My dad was doing Bible studies. He had what they called kinship group, which was like small group at their house, you know, once or twice a week. He was always mentoring people. When I was 6, shout out to my dad for this one. When I was 6, I was a pretty selfish kid, because you're 6 years old and you just want everything. And I remember I was in the car with my dad. My cousin had just gotten the Jurassic Park T-Rex. I really wanted the Jurassic Park T-Rex. And my dad had been mentoring and pastoring in a town called Mitch. And he had like this group of kids that he would meet with regularly and was just kind of doing some ministry stuff with. And he took me through their neighborhood, where it was like these houses that didn't even have doors. They had cardboard boxes over their windows and like all that sort of stuff. And he would do stuff like that when I was younger, exposing me to a lot of the harder parts of pastoring. And so I just thought that was normal life. I thought I didn't connect like, oh, my dad's doing this because he's a pastor. I thought this is just what we all do. This is just what people who follow Jesus do. They take care of these people. They have people in their house all the time. They're always mentoring people. Or, I mean, it was like every night we had someone over for dinner. It was so, I'll say I didn't realize that that wasn't just normal life and not everyone's experience until I remember one day at church. There was a bunch of us kids who all, you know, we all grew up together. And we were running around the sanctuary, and I had someone stop me in the front of the sanctuary and tell me I should know better because I'm one of the pastor's kids. I'm one of the pastor's sons. And that was the first time I felt guilty and felt shame for doing something in church that apparently I wasn't supposed to because of who my parents were. Because my parents never put that on me or my brother, like, hey, this is, you know, you need to be a certain way because of who we are. They never did that. And then from that point on, I became very hyper aware of that sort of pressure and felt like, oh, just constantly under a microscope. So that part was really hard. I would say going into my teens, really. So like when I was a kid, I didn't really feel it. It was when I started getting preteen years and all that stuff and whatnot that got really, I just became more aware of that. Did I think I was going to marry a PK? No, because I swore I was never going to do anything in ministry, ever. I was going to be a history teacher. I was going to get a teacher's pension and retire at 65. And that was going to be it.
But God.
Yeah. There were other plans. And
yeah. When did you start to like accept or embrace or have you, like, because obviously you're now raising kids who are pastors' kids, right? But have you turned to the point of like loving that piece of your story yet. And I say yet because, hey, if not, maybe it's coming.
I think you have a couple different questions or layers in there. I think I've learned to embrace that aspect of I got to become aware and experience something and come through the other side of something that only a specific group of people go through. And for both of us, it's put us in several moments in relationships where we've been able to pastor other PKs because we had that experience to come out on the other side. And I don't think there's a secret sauce. I think there was something, when at least when I was younger, where Jesus got the hook, and no matter how much I tried to run away from that, the hook never left. Yeah. So for us, I would say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it got to the point where when I was again in college and kind of going through a lot of those formative things of trying to figure out what I want to do, I kept coming back into the only place I feel life and want to give my life to is service to Jesus and service to people. And that doesn't have to be church ministry, but that was just the one thing I was like, I can't see myself do anything else. Yeah. It was like, this it may not be the thing forever, but this is the thing that I feel I'm in right now. And I feel like the Lord has been clear and put his hands on, and I don't know. I can't give my life to anything else.
No.
I have a ministry follow-up question.
Okay.
I'm curious because I've had a similar experience to like what I'm about to ask you. Was there a moment, or even like not necessarily a huge dramatic thing, but was there a moment where you were like, oh, I thought this was going to be one way from the outside, like before I got into ministry, and then you got into it and you were like, oh, this is not what I was expecting? Like, did you have that experience?
I don't know that I had that experience as an adult, but I had a lot of those experiences I'll tell you, so when I was about 15, we walked through complete spiritual abuse, a super abusive situation, and I was exposed to all of it. Like there were points where I was in the office while my dad I was in a room at the church in his office, and I could hear my dad being screamed at from the next room. So I was pretty aware from the beginning, at least from the teenage years, of some of the more painful, darker sides of ministry right off the bat. So that stuff's never surprised me. Disappoints sometimes, and it's something that Erinn's family's walked through a lot of that stuff too. So for both of us, it's something that we are always trying to stay aware of in ourselves and how we lead and how we feel we can pastor the people around us, is to just not go into those places or open the doors in our own hearts that would lead us into a place where we could become those kinds of leaders. So it's something that we're super aware of. I think the stuff that has surprised me in ministry, and both planting, because both of our parents are church planters, and then also having pastored for a little while in a more established church, is how much administrative work goes into ministry, which is, that's her bread and butter. But it's like,
I knew.
I never realized. Yeah,
Thanks for it.
my dad. Seeing my dad in ministry, like my dad is he's got a ton of wisdom. He's got a ton of pastoral skills. He's not an administrator. So I didn't see any of that growing up. Yeah. And when I started pastoring at a church in California that we were at as the children's pastor, and seeing how many meetings they were having just to open up calendars and look at how many meetings they were going to plan and how many Sundays out they were going to plan and how they were going to budget for those things and how they were going to pull a team together to do certain. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't like this part. Give me the dysfunction all day. I don't like this.
Meanwhile, that excites me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. I'll be there.
We're also very thankful for that.
Yeah. Do not give me the dysfunction all day.
Well,
You take that back, Jason Urena.
give me the hardest, people that we need to sit in a room and have a really
Oh, that
good conversation
dysfunction.
with.
All right.
Yeah, not the other dysfunction. No. Like,
I thought you meant organizational dysfunction. I was like, that is burning my heart. Do not give me that
clarifying.
organizational dysfunction.
Clarifying. No, not dysfunctional like churches. I mean, like give me the dysfunctional people all day to pastor them. Yeah, absolutely. Let's dream into like building something 1,000%. Let's open up like calendar apps and budget spreadsheets and do, all, the marketing plan. No, I don't want to do that. That's terrible. I never realized any of that stuff.
So I got a follow-up question for you. Having become aware of that side of things and seeing the value of your wife in that side of things, what do you say to people who say church shouldn't be treated like a business? Because church isn't a business, but there is a business side, so to speak, of church. Because I've come in contact with people who were like, no, we shouldn't put any focus on that whatsoever. We need to only focus on this. Yeah. But if you don't have people gifted in the ways of Erinn and others like her, how does the church function? So
yeah, do you want to answer that? Or do you want me to answer that?
Things fall apart.
Honestly. How do you handle someone who comes with attitude like that? How do you help them understand?
For me, whether it's business or whether it's ministry, everything should be done as an act of worship to God. Yeah. So whether it's administrative, whether it's worship nights, whatever it is, everything is done as an act of worship to God. Therefore, we should be giving him our best and we should be doing whatever we can with excellence, not perfection. There's a difference between excellence and perfection. But in having the excellence side of things, obviously, like well-run businesses are done with excellence because they have systems in place, they have teams, they have, you've got your CEO, like CEOs, and then you've got your CFOs, and then you've got, it keeps going all the way down to the janitor. I don't know, but every single person brings value and brings something to the table. And that's a huge part, because I think for me, it was years ago, just in recognizing that there is actually no divide between secular and sacred. And I've always, I grew up a pastor's kid, but my dad also owned a business, owned the family business. So I saw both the church side and then a completely separate entrepreneurial owning a business side of things that had nothing to do with ministry. And yet my dad could still represent Jesus well at the place that he worked and the employees that he employed. And he would have conversations with these employees about Jesus and stuff. But just seeing how there's no divide between secular and sacred, and that everything that you do is an act of worship to Jesus. So if we're going to do church well, there needs to be systems, there needs to be some form of organization. How else are you going to tell people when to show up? How else are you going to plan things? Where's the hospitality team? Where's the, how do you make sure that these things are done? They have to be done well because you have to plan ahead of time. So.
Well, and I would say, to add to that, having had some of those conversations, the vast majority of those people who say things like that are not involved in ministry, have no clue how to run a ministry, and probably have been to 4 or 5 churches in the last 3 years. Yeah. So there is the reality that their church should not be business. If you're approaching it from the sense of, it should not be pushing a consumeristic worldview. It should not be looking at numbers. How much are you bringing in on a tithe? It shouldn't be looking at those things. But if you're talking about the business side of church as, how are we serving people? What's our plan? What's our mission? What's our vision? That absolutely should be, I think that's called stewardship.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's important. That
goes back to Genesis.
And Jesus is really clear on how much he values people who steward and take care of his sheep. And if you're in ministry, if you're involved in leadership, that includes you. And you're going to be, I mean, I remember hearing my dad say it all the time, like, you're going to be held accountable for how you took care of people. And good administrative work is just taking care of people. So
Yeah.
if that's you and you've got that thing, oh, church shouldn't be run like business, we need to just do worship nights. Okay. How are you going to plan that? How are you putting that together? How many churches have you been to in the last 3 years? What are you giving your life to? You know, and that probably sounds a little harsh, but it's just, you know, you hear that a lot. We hear that a lot too, with like when we help out with KC and a lot of the planning that goes on with, so that's my dad's ministry for those who don't know, or we've helped plan like conferences and weekend encounters and stuff. When we get the emails, or especially Erinn gets the emails of, you know, this isn't right. This isn't church. We should just be, you know, opening doors and just having worship nights every night. Just, okay, what's your plan for keeping the lights on?
Yep.
What's your plan for paying the
How are
rent?
the bills getting paid?
Like,
a workman is worth his wages.
I'm all for a certain level of idealism, but comes to another point where Paul built tents, says a workman's worth his wages. Like, that's just the reality. If you're not one who's given your life, and this isn't your, unfortunately, no other way to say it, livelihood, yeah, you probably don't understand the hours and the blood and the sweat and the tears that go into building something like that. I mean, we house church and we've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So
I think like what you're talking about there is sacrifice. And I think this is something that's actually connected to a question I had, but I think that's a value I've seen in you guys. Like, I've watched you sacrifice. I've watched you like lay your lives down. And so like when you say like there was nothing else I wanted to give my life to, like I've seen you give your life to this. And there's a phrase, and I was just thinking about, there's another phrase too, but there's a phrase that you guys you got from someone else, but I don't think it started there. It's the phrase leaders go there first. But I think it started like, maybe you finally got words for it. But I'm curious, like, where did that begin for you guys? Because like that's a pretty core value for you guys, of leaders go there first, or laying your life down. Like, honestly, I just feel like, what is that? It's like sacrificing at the core of it. And then there's another core value I've seen in you guys, like in ministry, but it's prioritizing family in ministry. And I honestly think that's probably connected to your upbringing as pastor's kids. But I'm curious about like those two core values. Where did they come from, and how? Yeah, I want you guys to talk about, because those are pretty core values to you, the two of you in ministry, and honestly, it's impacted us as a team, and it's things that we now live out and work out as a team, as the Porch.
Yeah, the first person I heard say the leaders go there first thing was Mike Cruz, who was a pastor at the Stirring where we interned in California, and became a good friend. And
but did it start with that for you, or was it already a value that you finally had words for?
No, I mean, I think, you know, if the definition of that is, you know, service and leading by example and going, I mean, that was just modeled every day. I think there's certain places of that for me that I've struggled with, because I tend to have this bigger sense of, I won't always go there first if I feel like I'm actually not in the place to go there first. So like if I'm at another church, or if I'm at another ministry or whatever, I won't necessarily go there first, meaning like take the initiative, take the step, be bold, do whatever. Like I won't necessarily do that. If I don't feel like I'm the expert in the room on something, I won't do that. So, but there have been times where I feel like the Lord has still told me in those places to go there first. So I say that there's nuance to that. I'm not walking in somewhere bulldozing places, but I think the core value of that, of service and taking initiative and speaking whatever the Lord's put on your heart to do, whether that's, you're on a stage or you're clearing chairs at the end of a service or whatever that is. Like, there's no, it's servant leadership.
Yeah.
So that's been from, day one for me, and I think for both of us. And I think it's interesting, the piece of the family stuff of like opening our doors and doing all that. And I think for us, that's actually, we've had tons of conversations about how we've actually probably dialed back compared to, especially my family, to have some better boundaries to take care of our immediate family. But we've always kind of had the sense of, or the value for, if there is, so the boundaries thing, the gates thing, if there's people who are in that inner gate, though, they don't, like, that doesn't apply to them. They have an open door. You want to come and have dinner, be part of this family, like, you've got that open door. And I think that also goes back to the discipleship piece. Like, that's the only way I know how discipleship works and loving people well works, is if they're the people that you are giving your life to raise up their life, then that boundary doesn't always apply to them, but it definitely applies to everyone else. Like, when I say we had people over all the time in my house growing up, like, it was all the time. And we've been super intentional as we've had kids and stuff to say, like, yeah, we're not going to necessarily do that all the time, but we will do that with the right people. I don't know if that makes sense.
Capacity.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. But also on the family piece, we view our family as our first ministry. We have the porch, we have, the people we disciple and pastor, whatever you want to call it. But our family, our kids, our home base, that is our first ministry. And we are raising the next generation who's going to see what we're doing. And then our ceiling, and as high as we can possibly go, becomes their floor. And they're going to take it on and continue even further than we could have ever gone,
Yeah.
So we want to model that well. And so we have, we've got the expectations that, like, on these nights we do porch and everything, but I am on the admin side. Even at home, I'm very careful, and I would even say, like, cautious, because I know
Protective.
I'm protective. Protective's a good word over our calendar, because I know our capacity, and I know, like, I can very much feel, prophetically or not, I can feel where our kids are at and what our kids' needs are and everything. And so I know for a fact, if we have people over, 3 nights a week, plus porch nights, plus any other meetings that we may have going on, and then sports are going on, that's actually not leaving a whole lot of time for actual family time and connection time. And we don't want to just, all right, it's dinner time, it's bedtime, get to bed. Like, we don't want to do that every night. Some nights it is like that, but we don't want to be doing that every night, because we value connection and we value relationship over anything else. So, like, my kids are going to come first, and I'm going to protect my relationship, and I'm going to protect them as well. I don't ever want them to feel like ministry is taking mom and dad away from me. Mom and dad have to go pastor somebody. Mom and dad have to lead a worship night. Mom and dad have to do this. And so because of that, I don't get to spend time with mom and dad. I mean, they know that, like, on a certain night of the week, we have our porch meetings, whether it's worship, a dinner night, whatever it is, that's fine. But they also know, like, Sunday, that's a family day, and we are going to connect, and we're going to have, like, a long breakfast together, and, like, it's not rushed, and, we're got to keep moving and get out the door, like, whatever. We're going to play games. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to, like, have lots of
fun.
Yeah, we're going to do something fun, because we never want our kids to feel the weight of the sacrifice, basically, because, I mean, it's true. Like, we have had to sacrifice a lot, but I don't want my kids to feel like they are the sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, I think we want them to see that there is sacrifice, but we don't want them to feel like
they are the sacrifice.
Yeah, like it's their, like they have to suffer for our choices and our sacrifice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's good.
Well, preach it.
Yeah.
You know what you kind of like just mentioned there, which honestly I think would be kind of fun to like get into, is Erin's prophetic myth.
yeah,
What if we talked about that? And you like mentioned it a little bit briefly there, and like there's a couple things you there's it. I mean, I think there's so much there because you are so prophetic. I would love to hear that growing up. Maybe like, yeah, maybe
because I can't.
I know. Let me think of a question.
I have a
No,
question.
I think
I have one.
okay, go for it.
I initially phrased this not thinking that we were going to land on it in this way, but feel free to take it into the prophetic kind of area. So my question is, as we've kind of been moving from talking about pasts and childhoods and getting into ministry and all that, like, what are you dreaming about with God right now?
That's good.
That's big.
Yeah.
No, I know it's a big question. Don't feel like you have to summarize. You could just give me a little slice.
Is that connected to the prophetic?
Yeah, I think so.
That's different.
Do you want to go first or want me to go first?
I'm like trying to wordle it.
So when you say like dreaming with God, do you mean what is he talking to us about right now, or like long-term out dreams, or
You can take that, interpret it how you want. Like, I don't.
Are we gonna go back to the Shire one day and like we get our like?
No, I phrase it in a general way, not to put pressure on it to like make you guys summarize something that's really massive, but to give you the freedom to just answer in a portion and in a way that feels like there's life on it, if you want to go in that direction.
I mean, I think he's been stirring in me again, and we haven't really been talking about it a lot, but the whole house church stuff, if we're talking, I'll lean into the ministry side and then lean into the other stuff after, but he's been stirring me again a lot of the desire to teach again that we kind of like laid down with the school when we stopped doing that, and kind of looking even into more of what that could look like. I mean, we have lots of dreams that we, you know, beyond just porch and stuff. Like we would, I don't know if we've ever talked to you guys about this, but we would love to open a retreat center one day, specifically for ministry families, you know, sort of like a voice dream of getting like a big, like kind of like a farm homestead type thing, because we're older millennials and that's apparently what we all do.
Yep.
But get them goats. No. But have like little cabins on it, and I said no. Have like little cabins on it, and let families kind of be like, I mean, we've always dreamed of like, how could we do that in a way where like it doesn't cost ministry families a whole lot of money, because you don't make a lot of money generally in ministry, believe it or not, those of you listening. But yeah, everything from, you know, we'd have a retreat center for them to come and recharge, connect, get ministry, but also just like have fun stuff going on, all that sort of stuff, to other business ideas that we have. And, you know, so much of our energy right now is getting put into porch and building the business side of porch, especially with the coffee and cafe and trailer and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, on the ministry side, there's that. I would love to be able to write books. That's a dream that's always like in the back of my head,
and we would read them.
Never. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I would edit them.
But yeah, I've started a lot of books and never finished. And that's always like a thing in the back of my mind that I always feel like Holy Spirit's kind of like poking at, but never really quite feel like it's the right season or time and stuff. So yeah, I think right now it's just for me, the marching orders, which what I would say is the dream, which maybe is a little dark to call the dreaming marching orders, but it's still the same. Of just, I want to be a good dad, a good husband, and that is still a dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're up.
Oh, my turn. Yeah. I think the question was mainly like, what is God speaking to us about? Or to me,
I was like, I asked, what are you dreaming about with God?
Dreaming about and everything. It feels right now whatever this season is called. I don't have a word for it. I'm not really one of those.
Parenthood.
Parenthood. That's it right there. It feels actually a lot like preparation.
Mm.
And I don't know what. I don't have the answers. I ask God a lot of questions. And then I listen a lot, and I don't have the answers, but it feels like there's preparation for the people who are coming. It feels like whether it's like people who are going to be joining our team, whether it's people who are just going to come alongside of Porch, and whether they're just coming to attend Porch, or whether it's people who are actually going to come and run alongside Porch and help us like move into the next thing. It feels like a whole lot of preparation, and then in alignment with that, with the preparation and asking God a whole lot of questions, and what does that look like and what does that mean? And then I'm also getting a whole lot of just realizing the importance of meditating, and like meditating on his word, meditating on his words, meditating on his promises, meditating on, I mean, you can go to Philippians 4:8, like you can, whatever is true, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is all of those things. But I've just been fixated. Like it feels like there's a preparation happening, and the only thing that I can really say that I feel it's regarding when it comes to dreaming is just to continue meditating, and that we'll recognize it when we see it, or we see them, in front of us, because of the meditating and the aligning, and like whoever these people are, whatever it is that is coming, like these promises that are coming and the people that are coming will be in alignment with that as well. So it's just kind of, I don't know, real recognizing real, I guess.
Like when they come, we're gonna know. Exactly. Real.
She gets
it. I got it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
She gets it.
100%.
That's good.
Yep.
I actually think you're gonna need to do a whole podcast just on Erinn, because I think this her whole prophetic thing is so interesting. No, like I'm not kidding. Like I was sitting here thinking about like, well, what's the way I would ask the question that I really would want to get at? And I think it's starting from when you were 5. Like it's like, tell me about, which I don't think we have time to get into, but like, tell me about how you, like how the Lord spoke to you, and how did you handle that? And I know your mom's a big feeler, and that you're a big feeler, and how did you process that when you were younger? And I think that's beautiful, but that's what I want to know, but we'll have to get into that part 2. No, but I do have a question specific to the way you and Jay communicate, and not communicate, but like how the Lord speaks to you guys individually, but as a couple. I think that is just so cool. And I'm sure it happens.
You mean how he talks to her first?
Yes. Love that. Yeah, I think it's just beautiful how he communicates with both of you in the way that you need to be, that you need to hear, and Erinn, the way that she handles that. I want you to talk about that, because like, how was your process in learning? Like, first explain it, because I'm not explaining it, but like how the Lord speaks to you first. And then how do you handle that, because you know and love Jay?
Yeah.
Like my secrets, guys.
It's one of the coolest things. All right, the reason I'm bringing it up is because like it basically, Erinn will hear something 6 months before Jay hears it.
Because I'm stubborn and dense.
It's fine. It's fine. And I love that too. And but it's just like you hear beforehand normally, right? And you sit on it, and like you meditate on it, like you were just talking about, and you care for the word, but you don't go and share it with him. Like, what's the Lord's process? Is that partially because it's what you need? Is it partially because you know it's what he also needs? Like, is it is it just because at this point the Lord has a track record of telling you and you're like, all right, he's going to tell him? Or are you also being stubborn? Like, talk about it.
Well, we should preface with it's not everything.
No, not everything.
And we do, there have been a handful of times where I've felt something first.
Yeah.
But yeah, the majority of like big things, I think it's also our personalities, because I tend to, once I hear it, I'm like, we're doing it. Let's go.
Like, let's go.
So
I need time to adjust and to adapt and to prepare and everything, but also just sit on it. And like you said, like meditate on it. And so when I initially hear something or sense something, and I feel the Lord giving clear direction, like I usually know in my spirit, and I'm like, this was not coming from me. That's
too smart.
It's too smart. It's too crazy. Like, this isn't coming from me. You know, move across the country, go back to ministry school, move back across the country, go back to New York. No, you know, like, that's not coming from me. But I think it's just a matter of, like, I hear it, I sense it, I feel it, and then I need time to sit on it. But it's also a matter, like Jay said, like, he's very much, once he hears it, he wants to act on it, like, quickly. But it also can take a while for him to, like, definitely be sure that he heard it, because he wants to, like, both of us, we will absolutely test the word till it's whatever. Like, we'll put out all the fleeces and we are like, Lord, is this you? We need you to confirm it. So yeah, at this point, it's definitely the proven track record, and it's just what happens and how we function, and how I function with a lot of different things. Not everything, like you said, but I usually sense something, hear something. Like, one of the more recent ones was the stuff to do with house church. So like months ago, I started hearing and I started sensing Porch is going to be shifting into a house church and a house church model. And at first I put up a fight, because I was like, no, look, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. Like, no, absolutely not. So it's also partially, I need to wrestle it out with God. And that's how I've always been, Jacob wrestling with God. I literally got a prophetic word when I was a kid that I was like Jacob wrestling God, because I need to ask him my questions and I need to wrestle it out. And I know he's going to win. And I know, like, I full on know, I 100% know, and I completely understand that he's going to win and he's still going to get his way, and I'm going to come around and understand it and have peace on it. But in the moment, it feels like this feels huge. So I need to sit on it, pray into it. And then usually it's like, all right, Lord, if this is really, maybe it's one of the fleeces, I don't know. But if this is really definitely you, then I need you to talk to him, because I want him to hear from you and not from me. I want to know, like, we both heard directly from you. And then that's just happened so many times over in our marriage and in our relationship, where he tells me something, I sit on it, I pray on it until I have peace, and I just keep it in my heart, just stay like praying into it and interceding into it whenever it comes up in my mind, or whenever the Lord starts stirring stuff. And then, all right, like, I don't bring it up until I literally feel, for lack of a better word, like a green light in the spirit. Like, I literally feel a green, like, I'll feel like a red light, and I'm like, not that it would be bad in the end of the world to bring it up, but it's like, it's just this, not yet, like his, you know, whether it's he's just not in that frame of mind, you know, he's not. If I had brought this up a year ago about house church, and given his work schedule, and given like he had no capacity and he was coming out of burnout and everything, hearing that we were supposed to move into a house church model would have been like, like overwhelm, right? Complete overload on capacity. And so it's just like these quiet whispers of just saying, not yet. And then all of a sudden there will be a, okay, now. And it's just gotten to the point where I just trust that, and I trust him, and I'm like, okay. And I will literally immediately go. Like, it could be I'm brushing my teeth before bed and he's already asleep in bed, And I'll be like, then I'll hear, okay, now. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't wait until tomorrow. So I'm like, babe, we're supposed to do this. Like, we're supposed to, you know. But yeah, and then once I tell him, it's usually like, okay, let me sit on it, let me pray on it for a couple days or a few days.
Most of the time it's me coming to you like, hey, God told me this really profound thing, and she's like, yeah, don't I know? Told me 4 months ago.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It's my favorite thing.
And then
Jade's like, I got it. And then Erin's like, I know.
Yep. But it also feels like there's something in it just on the intercessor side of things. Because like he said, once he hears something and he brings into it and we pray into it together and we have peace on it, we're going to move. Like we're going to act on that, whatever it is. And there's been many things that have been huge risks and have been huge decisions, but it's like, okay, like I felt it and he felt it. We talked about it. We prayed about it together. We felt peace on it. If we both feel peace on it, we go. That's just
honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing, obviously I've heard this many times and I love it. No, but this is the first time I'm hearing it and connecting it to like the timing piece of like, how good is the Lord that like, one, he's like, you're partnering in intercession throughout and sitting on it and wrestling with him. And that when he moves with Jay, it's go time. I mean, sure, personality. And I love that the Lord honors that. And like, again, he's so good, but like the timing of it and like the fact that, he moves and it's like, you know, that this is the time to go.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
Yeah. We've always said, like, whether it was buying a car, moving across the country, when we were contemplating moving to a different country, like whatever it was, like if we're going to pray into this thing together, if one of us doesn't feel peace on it, we don't move.
Yeah.
And there's no like manipulation. There's no like, well, you should pray harder because I'm really feeling peace on it. So like,
we definitely have a few moments like
why don't you feel peace?
Wait, tell us one.
there was a really stupid one. This is stupid. It was very early in our marriage. You don't remember this? This was really stupid.
He also has an incredible memory, and I don't.
It was really stupid. It was, so I think it was only our 3rd year married. It was our first year back in Reading. And we couldn't figure out what to do for Christmas about flying home, either flying to New York first and then going to Canada, or going to Canada first and then New York. And obviously both of us wanted to go to our hometown for Christmas and then the other one afterwards. And so that was a one where it was like, I think I initiated it initially of like, I really feel strong like we need to go to New York first and then, have a smaller amount of time there, and then we'll go back to Canada and spend more time there before we go back. And it was instantly hard no. And I was like, why don't you pray about it?
It's always the hard no. Like if there's a hard no, there's a wall that just went up. Let's talk about that.
And it was like a solid week and a half of back and forth of like, you're not hearing right. No, you're not hearing right.
You need to go back and talk to God again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think we ended up just staying in Reading.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
Well, at least you honored that, like, that agreement you guys made of like, well, if we don't get agreement, we're not going anywhere.
Well, so the couple who married us, that's where we got that from. The couple that married us, they were both mentors of mine in college. He was one of my Bible professors, and his wife, I did videography for the spiritual development office at my school, and his wife worked in there, and she was like my direct boss underneath our main direct boss. So like they were both super important to me. I'd seen their marriage for a few years at that point, and I was really like, their dynamic just was really good. And so when we asked them to marry us, they said, okay, but you have to come out once a month for like
Premarital
the 6
counseling.
months leading up to your wedding to do premarital counseling. So we said, okay. And one of the first sessions we had, they said, okay, what are you going to do when you disappoint each other and you hurt each other and you don't agree? And it was the first time we had really, like, we'd had disagreements and stuff, but we hadn't really wrestled through that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, what are you going to do when you break each other's hearts and you break each other's trust and you're not in agreement on something? And it was the first time, again, we really had to wrestle through like ideas of that. And that's when they said, well, the key is if you're not in agreement, you don't move. You stay somewhere until you're in agreement in one way or the other.
Yep.
Even if that's, a third option that you're not even initially arguing over. You don't go anywhere. You don't move unless you're in agreement. We've just always, it's led to some good talks. But
we're both very stubborn also. So that can lead to some of that. But I think the biggest thing is just communication has always been such a core value, or even more than a high value. It's been a core value for us. And that's something that we learned and saw being demonstrated by couples around us when we started dating. And we had like one or two different couples talk to us about how it's not even just about communication, it's about over communication. So you might think that you're doing a good job explaining something. You might think that you're expressing your heart well enough, or that you just told the other that like, hey, here's the plan for this week, or this is what I've got going on, or whatever. But it never, ever, ever hurts to go back and reiterate. And what did you hear me say? And like, okay, I want to make sure that you're hearing, and it like we're on the same page here. Let's over communicate to make. So that's always been from the very beginning.
Yeah,
has been a huge core value of ours, was to communicate. So whether that was making life-changing decisions or raising kids, which is also a life-changing decision, whatever it might be, it's just important to have that communication and that over communication so that you are always remembering you're a team and like we're in this together. It's never me against you. It's never siding like one side or the other. So we're on the same side. So we need to stay on the same side and just keep communicating and keep praying.
Yep.
I'm glad we said that story. That was great.
It was a dumb fight.
A new story for the memory banks.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a few.
It's just a few.
I vividly, okay, we'll peel that onion layer back even a little bit further. I remember what got us out of that fight. Do you remember what got us out of that fight?
This is what I'm talking about his memory. Do you remember what I was wearing when we like?
I don't remember what you were wearing, but it was December.
Something boho. Something boho chic.
I was about to say that.
Christmas. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. No, we got suckered in by a guy that we did school with the first time we went around. I wouldn't say suckered. He wasn't trying to do anything wrong, but he invited us to a meeting that, and I apologize to anyone out there if you're part of one of these groups. It's just not for us. We got into it, and it was an MLM meeting. It was for like the Plexus stuff, and both of like what pulled us out of that was our sudden shift of anger towards this meeting.
Who said it was an MLM meeting?
She said going into this is gonna be an MLM meeting. I was like, no, it's a business opportunity.
It's a residual income business opportunity.
And I was like, no. They said it's a business opportunity.
And they've hated MLM till
literally
this
as soon as
day.
we got in.
It was
like she was watching a movie she had seen 1,000 times. She was like saying the like spiel before they were even saying it. And
I was literally whispering to him what they were going to say.
And it was like we walked out of that, like they had like a break, and they're like, all right, well, we're gonna take a little break, have some coffee,
reconvene,
and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about how we're gonna get you in, and how
you can buy into.
We got out, like literally, like all right,
we're out.
We both left, and as we were walking out to the car, I remember I turned to her and I said, all right, you were right about that MLM meeting, and that's so we broke the whole the whole fight.
I love that. And honestly, your dislike and distrust of MLMs has continued to this day.
Yeah.
Maybe for Erinn, it was there before there.
I can spot.
I think she'd kill it though. To be honest,
She
with
would. Oh my gosh, she'd be amazing.
If Erinn ever goes to the dark side.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Not to pump up her ego or anything, but
yeah. Any other questions?
How are we doing on time? Do we want to like? Are we?
I'm good because I can edit whatever.
Can I? I came up with a fun question.
Oh,
I
okay.
like fun.
If the 5 of us got into a boxing tournament, who'd be the last one standing?
Oh my gosh. Like literal physical boxing tournament?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
it? Is this WrestleMania? Like we're all. Is it, like, are we all? Is a cage match? We're all in the ring at the same time.
It's tournament style, so it's brackets.
I guess it depends. Who gets that 1 seed first round rest?
me.
Obviously.
What? Why?
Rachel Anna Stalker gets that first rest. But she's in it for the long haul. She's going all the way.
I can honestly say that I think I would go out very early.
Oh, well, we got one down. Okay.
He's tapping out. He's not even entering the ring.
If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like me. But now I'm like, I don't know. I'm tired all the time.
See, I genuinely think one of the girls would come out on top.
I think it would be Erinn. I wouldn't. I think it'd be Erinn.
I know.
I think it would be Erinn.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to hit anyone.
For tenacity's sake.
Yeah.
You're going down, babe. I love you, but you're going down.
See, I think Erinn in a boxing ring, I think she'd be having so much fun.
What?
I think Erinn would be in a boxing ring and she'd be like, hell yes.
I have seen her.
Having the
Okay,
time of
listen.
my life.
I have seen her stance.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
It is
You
But
not
you
pretty.
felt my punches.
You'd
So
go down.
Yeah, you'd be down early.
You'd go down laughing.
but angry.
Like watching me
That's funny.
go down laughing.
She does this like shuffle thing when she. I've caught Judah doing it a few times. I'm like, no, put your hands up, stay strong.
Just fight like a man.
Like,
Yeah, he fights like
don't
his Auntie
do this.
Rachel.
If you hit, stop it.
Yeah. I love it. That's,
Yeah.
that's my,
No, I wouldn't even
my
get
dad.
in the ring unless I was angry with somebody. Like if somebody had done something wrong to one of you,
Oh yeah.
then
Mama
I
Joe
could get
was
in the
like
ring
that.
and game on. But if
That's
something
true.
like that hadn't
That's
gone on,
just-
I don't know if I could even get in the ring.
Jen would make it a cage match because one of a ref would make a bad call and then
Yeah.
Jen would jump the rope
Oh yeah,
and give him the
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah, that would be a thing.
See, you wouldn't have to worry about Erinn in the ring. What you'd have to worry about is Erinn after the ring. Like 2 years after, when she is like looked up your entire family on social media. Yeah, I'm giving you a lot of credit for the long game.
I looked it up before you got in the ring.
But it's like it would be all of a sudden packages that would start getting delivered to your house of like things that you definitely like but didn't know that you needed, and then like she would show up to your house and be like, oh, did you like that? Did you like that jacket you got in the? And you'd be like, what are you talking about? How'd you know I wanted that? Like, she'd be playing that long psychological game.
The long game.
The long con.
Yeah.
Erinn is the mob fixer who runs the actual boxing ring.
Which I mean is really just MLM.
Yeah, so bring it on back. That's right, Jay. Bring it home. Bring it home. Which is why she'd be
Multi-level-
really good
multi-level
at it,
mobstering?
and she hates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a random question. Any other questions, random or other?
I'm in full agreement that we need a full on Erinn interview
Erinn podcast.
because
Yeah,
I
agree.
think there's a depth of Erinn that people don't get to see. And I don't know if we have time for it, but like one of my line of questioning was to ask Erinn to tell us a little bit about the multitude of ministry schools that she has attended and maybe give us a story from one that so greatly impacted her.
Impacted positively or negatively?
Positively.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I was on positive.
Both. So I did Toronto Airport back in the day when it was Toronto Airport School of Ministry. Now it's Catch the Fire School of Ministry back in 2007. Mathing. Yeah, I think it was like 2007 to 2008. That was my first taste of ministry school. That was just a 5-month school, and then we spent like almost a month in on missions, which I got sent to Italy, which suffering for the gospel, man, that was hard.
Oh, horrible. I'm sure.
All the pasta and the pizza and all the traveling and everything. Honestly, it had its hard moments for sure, but there were definitely lots of defining moments in that school, because that school really the biggest emphasis, the module that I took had to do with identity. So they're really, I mean, you're living at the school, and then the school is like 60 people or something. I forget how many people were in our class. So everybody is living like on campus all together at the school. And then your school is literally in the main auditorium, and then you all eat together in the cafeteria. So you are literally doing life with these people day in, day out, all day long, like everything. So there was a lot of learning experiences. There was a lot of growth opportunities. But then there was a lot of defining moments too, where it was the first time that I was outside of my parents' house and covering and ministry, I guess you could call it, And so even in being in Italy, I got to see where my faith was at, and I got to see okay, I'm not just praying for people because my dad's here with me. I'm not just doing this because it's what's expected of me, but I want to see this happen, and I want to pour into the people that I don't even speak their language. So we got to see a lot of really cool stuff, and that was, I mean, I had experienced and I had seen a lot growing up, and whether it's miracles, warfare, like all of the different things, but to see it from outside of my parents' covering, like for the first time being out on my own, not living with my parents, and then really exercising my faith and, laying hands on a girl who was literally in a coma, had been in a coma for months, and wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, and they literally unhooked her from everything and brought her to a church meeting that we were at in Italy. And my heart burned, and I was like, let's go. And we just went and we laid hands on her, and she woke up. And then to the flip side, and the amount of warfare that we experienced there as well, and the amount of the demonic, and just also really feeling really becoming even more familiar with what it means to be a feeler and a knower prophetically, and understanding how to operate in that and what that means. And then it's actually gives you an even greater insight into how to pray, because it's a huge intercessory tool as well. And so for so long I fought any form of being an intercessor or any form of whatever, because I was like, oh, intercessors are miserable and sad, and they're always the old ladies at churches, and you gotta have this whatever. And then I read a book by Benny Johnson that was The Happy Intercessor, and it changed everything for me, and I was blown away. So yeah, it was just amazing seeing and just cultivating that relationship with Jesus for myself, building on my identity with Jesus for myself, learning to hear his voice for myself and trusting what he has to say, and then taking the risk or doing the thing that he's calling me or inviting. Ultimately, it's always an invitation that he's inviting you into. You don't have to say yes, but you get to if you want to, and it can be really fun. Yeah.
what is something that you guys individually are walking in victory in that the Lord's done in your life? Like you're walking in the victory of what the Lord has done in you.
I think it's an interesting question because I could definitely name some things that I'm walking in victory in, but also can recognize that it's not my victory because I can easily slip back into them. So like one for me is anxiety. I've dealt with anxiety my entire life, stress. And it's always really interesting because going all the way back to when I was a kid, I remember it happens all the time now where people will come up to me and say, like, I just feel so much peace around you. I feel so at peace. And I remember being younger and being like, that is stupid because nothing inside me is peaceful. Nothing inside me feels calm at all. But growing and recognizing, and as I started to get an understanding of, you know, especially with anxiety, like I had to just let that go. Like I had to literally actively, consistently on a daily basis give it to Jesus, the things that make me anxious, the feelings of anxiety, like to actively bring it to the Lord and say, I need you to stand in this place in your victory in my life every day. And it might seem counterintuitive or contradictory to some theologies out there of like you stand in the victory, and it's like, yeah, I stand in the victory and I have victory, but I also need to let him stand in it for me and with me every day. And I know when I start to step out of that place, but that's something that, you know, I think I have gotten more and more conscious of and self-aware of. And I think for me, that's the victory, being able to recognize when I'm leaning on my own strength and when I'm trying to lean on his, or when I am leaning on his. And yeah, that's just that's different. And I think with that too, just all the different things that were the layers of anxiety for me. I had a lot of fear of man, a lot of fear of rejection, and always wanted to be. Some of it probably stems from the PK stuff, and some of it's just me. Always had a fear of like I was never going to be enough. I was never going to live up to expectations. I was never going to. Just a lot of the pressure, and you know, I had a moment. I've told you guys this story before, but I had a moment when I was in second year at ministry school and had just walked through a really hard season and was talking to the Lord and was bringing all these different things to him of like, you know, these are things I'll do. And essentially what I was saying was that I'll do whatever it takes to earn your love. I'll do whatever it takes to be enough for what you've called me to do. And that was the moment he said the whole, what if I just want you to be a good dad? And that moment released a whole bunch of that pressure for me. And, you know, that's a moment I come back to consistently of like that marked me, if you want to call it victory, that marked me in victory to be able to come back to it and say, that's the thing, that's where I stand. So when fear of rejection, fear of man, fear those other things want to come in, it doesn't matter because my goal is just to be a good dad. And there's an interesting thing with your kids is they just want to be your best friend no matter what. And so yeah, so I would just say that would be mine. At least the first one that comes to my mind.
Yeah. There are two different things that came to mind for me. One is the victory over releasing, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it, but the victory of like releasing, I get just anger and bitterness and being able to work through stuff to see relationships reconciled and relationships that you didn't think that there was going to be reconciliation. And so being like having come from a place where at one point while we were in California for the second time and coming out of a really, really hard season and yeah, just feeling a lot of darkness, feeling anger like I had never felt it before, and then feeling like a fraud because I'm in ministry school and I feel angry and I feel dark and I feel depressed, and the last place that I want to be is at church or to have anything to do with ministry. And I at that point was like, I don't want anything to do with ministry. If this is what it looks like, I don't want anything to do with ministry. So being on the other side of that, I mean, when you are in it, you're in it. You're in the thick of it, and you don't think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't think that there's going to be a way out because you're in it. It just feels like you're never going to get out of it, you know? And now I feel like it's the polar opposite. Like it's the absolute opposite. And now I see on the other side, I'm like, I'm in the complete awe. Like I love what we do. I love who we are. I love the people that we get to do life with and minister to and just get to worship with or have dinner with or, like I said, do life with. So there's that. Like that feels like a big victory for me just because it feels like such a stark difference from where I was at one point. And then the other one, it's kind of similar, kind of along the same vein as what Jay was talking about as well, but the victory of being a mom. And at one point that was a really big battle for me. Before we had kids, I had to work through a lot of fear and a lot of fear doesn't even feel like a big enough word. Like I had to work through a lot of stuff just because I was terrified of being a mom. I was terrified of being all of the what ifs. I was terrified of, ironically, what if my kids don't feel attached to me? For anybody who knows our kids.
Ironically.
Exactly. But like that feels like such a victory moment too, because at one point in time, like when I was growing up, my dream was to be a mom. And at some point that got stolen and that became a source of fear and a source of, I don't know that that's ever going to happen. Like, I don't know that I can ever let that happen because there was just so much fear there. So to now be a mom of 3 healthy, just vibrant, amazing, wild boys who are just my life. Like we are in it all day, every day together. And yes, sometimes it's very tiring, but it's also like, this is the life that I dreamed of when I was growing up, that I had to work through fear and I had to work through so much stuff to get to this dream of what we're living now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of
I
which,
can hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
Do you want to, would you pray for us as you like to close out?
sure.
Do you want to get both of you praying for
Yeah.
Isn't that how you always close, Jay?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting being on this side. But yeah, we can pray. I'll start. You want to finish?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Lord. Father, we thank you for your goodness and your kindness, your faithfulness. Thank you for your mercy, for your love. Lord, thank you for how you knit yourself into our stories. Lord, thank you for how you walk with us. Father, thank you that you are faithful and consistent to be with us in the highs and the lows through every single part. You waste nothing. You waste no aspect of our story, of our history with you. Thank you for the history with you that we have, even when we weren't aware that you were building history in us. Lord, I pray for everyone out there, God, that you would touch their hearts to see what you're doing in their lives, Lord, that you would touch their hearts to see and be filled with the revelation of how you've walked with them, of how you've been close. Lord, I thank you that your call on our lives, it's bigger than anything we can do, but it's always with you. It's never that we walk alone. Lord, and all the things that we dream into and all the things that we do with you, that we never walk alone. You always walk with us. You always sustain us. You always provide the grace to see the thing happen. Lord, I thank you that you give us community to walk with too. Lord, that you put people around us and in our lives to navigate those things with you and to encourage each other and to hold each other up when we can't hold ourselves up anymore. Yeah. So, Father, would you touch the hearts out there who maybe need that right now? They need to be held up. Would you put people around them, or would you give them capacity to dream again?
Yeah, Father, I just ask that for whoever may come across this, that whoever may just, whether it's people who regularly listen or somebody who's just listening for the first time, that they would hear you, that they would hear the testimony of you and how your kindness, how your faithfulness, how your healing, how your fathering, how your voice has just led us in every season and every part of our lives, and that whoever may be listening will be encouraged, that their heart will hear exactly what they're meant to hear, that they would be drawn closer to you, that they would lean into you so that they could hear you, that they would know you, that they would recognize your voice. Thank you for the good Father that you are, and how well you lead and how well you guide. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Amen.
It was fun. Appreciate you all, and glad you know us well enough to know some of these stories already, and love us enough to maybe ask the questions that you don't know the answers to. So we'll have to do this again.
It was fun.
This was fun.
It was fun.
Can't wait for Erin's episode.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
start season 2 off with that. All right, love you guys.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.